Solomon was providing nuggets of wisdom that I believe every single human being needs to grasp, because it's going to affect some part of your life. And one thing I love about the Proverbs is that they're so real and practical. We're actually taking the time to go through this first chapter of Proverbs and look at what Solomon was actually dealing with and what he was talking to us about and how it affects our lives in very specific ways. The peace of God is like this. You ever say, well, how do I know it's the peace of God? The peace of God is like this. Romans 5 verse 1 says, therefore, having been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. That peace that I'm talking about is that same assurance that you know that you are saved. How do you know it's the peace of God? When I'm talking about this inner peace, this inner witness, this assurance, it's the same assurance that you have that you're saved. That's the reason why in the early days of this ministry, we spent so much time, and you guys remember this, we spent so much time talking about the assurance of your salvation. And that you don't have to worry about keep coming back and getting saved over and over and over again. And every time you make a mistake, it means that you're boom, kicked out, and now you got to work your way and claw your way back into God's good graces again. When you get into this kind of discussion that we're talking about today, how do I know when God's talking to me? How do I know if I'm making the right decisions or not? Now you see why I laid that foundation about the assurance of your salvation. Because just as sure as you are about your salvation, he leads us with that same assurance, that same peace that it's settled. That's why it has to be settled in your heart. I know I'm saved. That's not the issue. The rest of my life, I'm not spending trying to stay saved and hold on to see what the end's going to be. Those of you who come from certain denominations, you've heard that testimony, that phrase said many times. Those of you who've never heard that, parts of the many denominations in the church, that's a bottom line belief that we just live our lives trying to stay holy, trying to stay righteous, trying to stay out of sin, trying to keep from losing my relationship with God. You spend your life trying to do that so that when you take your last breath that you are going to heaven. And even then, I've even heard some pastors preach from the pulpit, even then you still don't know if you're going to make it or not. Well, if you're living your life with that kind of insecurity about where you stand with God, then how can you decide? How in the world can you decide what school I'm supposed to go to, what person I'm supposed to marry, what town I'm supposed to live in, what career should I be pursuing? How in the world can you know if you ain't even sure about the first thing? Am I his, and is he mine, and is that settled? What is my purpose? Where am I going? Because when all of that is settled, he's able to lead us with that same assurance about everything in our life. In everything we can be just as sure. Why? Because he leads us with that same peace. The same assurance that you got. If I were to ask you if you were saved, everybody, you go, yeah. Well, you say, yeah. How do you know? Because I opened up my heart. I invited him to come in. I turned away from all of my ways, my ideas, everything. I just said, Lord, here I am. I'm yours. I have to do it that way so you get the point. I'm yours. I can't do nothing, can't fix nothing, can't straighten out nothing. You do it. I'm yours. And so he says, yes, you're mine. Gotcha. And no man, nothing can take you out of my hands. Nothing, nothing. What about when I get mad and I get discouraged and I get so mad that I cuss? That ain't no surprise. I'm working on you. That's why I'm holding on to you. The stuff that comes up out of us, we're like, oh, God, God's looking like, I know that. That's why you're mine. I already know that that damage has been, that's what's in you. I know that that damage is there. So that's why I declare that you are mine. I justify you. That's what salvation is about. He justifies us. He declares us righteous. He puts us in the position of righteousness. Now, in that position, now he works on our condition. Ooh, ain't that so good to know? Yes, Lord. He's working on my condition. What's my condition? I'm broken. I'm damaged. Got a lot of bad habits that are still in me. Got a lot of old stinking thinking that's still in me. Got a lot of fear that's still inside of me. Sometimes that fear comes out as anger. Sometimes it does come out as a cuss word, but bottom line, God knows I'm scared. And my response all of my life when I'm scared has always been to display anger, and it comes out in profanity. You say, but I thought you got saved and he cleaned all that up. Yes, his new nature is in me. And now he's teaching me how to respond in the Spirit of God, to respond like him to all of this stuff in my life. A lot of that stuff, we call it a knee-jerk reaction. You know why we use that phrase? When you go to the doctor's office, they tap your knee and you jerks. And so for us, some of our life is that way. It's just our automatic reaction. Ain't even think about it. And so he's working on that knee jerk so that instead of the tendency to always come out in anger or frustration or get scared again, that the knee jerk turns to, yes, Lord. Okay, it's going to be okay. I trust you. And sometimes you'll go weeks and respond in peace and in faith. You go 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then something will tap that's from way back in the past that you done long forgot about. And it taps that area. And we slip back again and go, filth and a foul and a fun. And then you're like, oh, Lord, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for that to come out. But when you do that, he's not saying, now you got to start all over again. Okay, Lord, I receive you into my heart again. I get saved again. No. You're his son, his daughter. And then he lets us into such wonderful insight as I allowed that to happen so that you would see why I need to come into that area in your life, so that you will see that's part of you. You haven't surrendered to me yet. And I want to come and clean that up. Let me in there. Let me fix it up.